one more time for good measure. Gosh, I love this. This is all due to the credit to Kurt Keyes, who created this in 2017 out of Crater Lake. It's a day-to-night time lapse. I had to start with something interesting, and I chose well. Oh man, just to watch the night transition to day like this. I'm sad that the Milky Way goes away, and then I also see this, and I stop being so sad. It's amazing. Yes, I was a little late as I was fighting with YouTube and saying, YouTube, you got a good stream. What's the problem? What's the problem? Why are you saying this isn't a good stream, YouTube? And there was no reason. Rob Ryan is our admin, and he's saboteur. He's fomenting a mutiny. So sorry about that, guys. Here we are, Milky Way Wednesday. Let's go full screen and talk about this Milky Way that's coming up. Is the November Milky Way, the last core that we have. Adds work. I don't know if he means this is an ad because it's just a really cool Crater Lake, but I guess in a way I'm advertising that it's awesome. Come with us to Crater Lake for a workshop. So it's awesome to see you, Jurgen, Kathy, Rob, Andrew, Unknown Drones, and many more that aren't commenting. Thanks so much for joining me on Milky Way Wednesday tonight. We are going to focus on what's happening right now. We have the moon up, and then it's in the way of the Milky Way core throughout the night, and then finally it's going to get out of the way again, and we'll start seeing the core by itself, but for mere minutes. Those of us in the Northern Hemisphere have mere minutes with it. So let's get started with just simple explanation of what's going on. Hey Lonnie, how's it going? Welcome. So we're gonna go over to my, let's get the full screen down, bring up the Mac, and kill this awesome QuickTime video. We don't need that song. Let's just get going on Stellarium. Stellarium, if you don't have this app, it's free, stellarium.org. On the desktop, it's really easy to use. This is my location local to here in American Fork, and you can see the locator window. Let's do that. So you can see we are at this spot in the United States. And let me just close that, do date and time window. We'll use this. Let's fast forward a little time just to see what's happening tonight. So right tonight, where's the Milky Way? Right there. Let's pause it. Right here is the moon. Right here is the Milky Way. The sun has set. The moon is in the way. Mary Beth and Sergio. Hey, Sergio. Good evening, gents. Glad to be able to see this live. Thanks for the chat earlier. You bet, Sergio. It was fun talking with you. SSJDHDYDYSI just says just the Galactic Center recedes. It's still there, just not the meat and potatoes. Precisely. Let's actually go full screen right here. If I take off the light pollution, the atmosphere, you can see more detail here. So despite whether the moon's up or not, it's just going to show you the full shape. Here is October 24th. Go to November 24th. Go to December 24th. Milky Way is there. Jurgen gave us a challenge. Capture the other side of the Milky Way, the Orion constellation area, the area where we have the Andromeda Galaxy, which I'm not seeing easily right now. Why am I not seeing it? Here we go. Have we gone too far? Is that what's happened? I bet it's just already come and gone. Altair, moving back a day at a time. It's basically choosing by this hour. If I turn the Andromeda Galaxy, I'm looking for Cassiopeia. Let's turn on the constellations. Constellations, get them back up. And Cassiopeia is right here. So then off of Cassiopeia is the Andromeda constellation, which is not being shown in this one. Is it called something else? I'm not seeing the Andromeda constellation right here, but this is the Andromeda Galaxy. And so the left side, the Milky Way, the east side of the Milky Way, the side of the Milky Way we'll see a lot more of in December, will have that Andromeda Galaxy right up at the top of the sky. And when it's at zenith, it's going to be the most clear it can be. So if you're going to capture, say, Orion constellation or Andromeda Galaxy, capturing when they're at zenith is a great time. So back up, let's focus on November. What's happening in November? Let's take off the constellations, turn on the atmosphere, and let's look at what happens at night. So as the hours set, we end up with November 1st. Let's go. Let's start with November 1st right away. November 1st at 7 o'clock and now at 9. Now, or at 8 here. So then you look at the core. The core is already, atmosphere goes off. Let's just see it easier. The core right now is already listing to the right, and this list right here is still a very cool looking Milky Way. You get a Milky Way right here, and that is what you're seeing. Let's get off of my selection. I've selected some star and it's giving me data. If I look at this cool shape in the background of a foreground, that's awesome. It is a cool Milky Way still. SSJDH says, I've had enough of the moon. It's been around for quite some time and we should get rid of it for photography purposes. Yeah, who needs the moon? All of its beneficial tides and poles and gravitational assistance and night vision. It's not helpful. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of the moon. I want to live on the moon, and then I won't have the moon get in my way. I'll have the Earth glow get in my way. So I can't win until I go to Mars. Okay, there it is. I settled it, going to Mars. So if you look at a November Milky Way, what's going on with the moon right now? Well, at this exact minute, there doesn't appear to be a moon in the way. I don't see it either direction. Is it above us? Let's pull back. Where's the moon going to be in the sky from this location? Using the Stellarium app, I can see this information quickly. Let's change by the hour. Still no moon, still no moon. There's the moon. It comes up at 2. So at November 1st, going into November 2nd, the moon is gone the entire time. The core is there. And so while the core is above the horizon, the moon is not in the way. So there we go. November 1st is the first November night that we can capture. It actually goes into October. Go down. And there's sunset. Let's get the atmosphere back on because you got to see astronomical twilight change. I think we went into September. So now let's go November and go down 1. So it only goes October 31st. Let's see our first opportunity to see it without the moon. During the twilight period, is it setting too much? No, not too much. It's there. That's the core. That's Sagittarius. So I'm thinking we have a nice view of the core at the very end of the month without the moon. Well, this is a cumbersome way to figure out exactly when the moon's going to be in our way. So let's go to something far much easier and do our PhotoPills, because PhotoPills is going to make it so much easier. I like Stellarium. I like it for one purpose, and let's use it before we get out of here. I want to see what the Milky Way is going to be like. I'm at latitude. What is the Milky Way going to look like when I'm out there in November? Each night at different hours. Okay, I can see how it might even be vertical and then tilt, vertical and tilt. So if I haven't done it ever before, this is my way of getting a nice visual of what that Milky Way will look like and getting an idea, okay, directly south of me, to the west, in the middle, that's where I'll see that Milky Way. Cool, visual done, visual complete. Let's get out of this app and let's start showing my other screen. Let's go to the reflector. So, let's move this screen over. Josh Burdick, what location is this, Oregon? The location was set for American Fork, Utah. So it was just default recognizing my location. And so I had it up at that time. I'm going to put your guys' comments up here while I use Photoshop, or not Photoshop, but PhotoPills and my iPad for the remainder of this. Does Stellarium work well on a Mac? Absolutely. This is a Mac that I'm using right now, and it works awesome. The location he has set to, okay, perfect. I'm going to name my next child PhotoPills. I love it so much. I feel ya, SSJDH. I'm going to call you SHDD for short. It works great on the Mac. Chris, Dodge Shadow Chick, Mary Beth says, that's right. The Oregon trip should be during the new moon. It's also during the new moon. It's perfectly set up for it. So go down here, PhotoPills. Let's look at it. First off, let's start off with our location. I'm going to show you guys a trick of a location copy over. First, let's go to the location that I am going to be. Well, let me take that back. Let's rewind it a little bit and just talk about what you guys need to know about a location to choose from. I have this drawing just to emphasize that, you know what, guys? In fact, I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to duplicate so I can draw on it. You're not going to want to fight much terrain. You're going to want to avoid terrain as much as possible. In this area, you have a desert with a flat terrain, or even an ocean with a flat terrain. Any southern western view that you have in your area that you can get to quickly, that you can fly to, go to, make sure that was the trestle, or Brian recognized the trestle. I'm going to show you guys an area of example with the trestle where I have mountains in my path. Because if I have some mountains, imagine them here, and they're going up and causing a horizon. Well, how much of the core will I actually see? Only this much. And I don't want to only see this much of the core. And that could be the entire time. The Milky Way core could be here and then set itself down here. And I don't want that. I want the Milky Way core to be visible as much as possible. So the most ideal scenario is a completely flat terrain for much more of a distance than you can expect in some areas. You can have a really distant, long, flat area. And the ocean, absolutely the best if you go to the ocean over here. So considering that, I have chosen a location that I want to be because of our listener adventure. We are going to, let's load a point of interest. We're going to go to Secret Beach. It's one of our areas, our first area, our first night on the 5th. We'll be doing a sunset out at Secret Beach. And how's the Milky Way that first night? So then down, if you guys aren't familiar with PhotoPills enough, in fact, let me move Aaron King out of the way. Come on, Aaron. Let's get this part of your window off so they can see PhotoPills, because it's not necessary to see your back. Cool. So here we go. This timeline down below, I'm going to scrub it until I get to the 5th. That's just a nice, quick, and easy way when you can see right here, my date was so close to the 5th already. November 5th, 2018. We're going to enjoy the sunset. The sunset's going to be at, it shows right here, an event. Moonset is what it went to. It's still golden hour. The sun is still up from being the sunset line, and the moon has actually set on us at 4:32 local time. Tap it again, goes to sunset. That is at 5:06 p.m. I have the twilight periods beginning and ending, and astronomical twilight ends at 6:41. So astro ends at 6:41 p.m. on November 5th. Now here's a fun challenge. Okay, well, that is a sliver of time that I can see the core. In the planner, over on the right and left, if you're in an iPad, or it's on the top if you're on your iPhone, you will see these pictures. This right here is visibility of Galactic Core. It tells me right away that is only visible from 6:41 p.m. until 7:05 p.m. So imagine if I didn't have my calendar set up already, and I didn't know that's where I'm going to be and that's where I'm first going to try, and I live there locally, and I have all the week or two before the November 5th to try, how would I find out what other nights are really good? Well, let's make sure the moon's out of the way. Let's make sure that the Galactic Core is visible above the horizon. So we know from the Galactic Core on November 5th that it'll be visible above the horizon for at least, what is that? It's like 24 minutes. That's it. 24 minutes of time. So then let's figure out other nights and where the moon's going to be. How do I take this location that I have on the planner and move it into my moon pill so that it knows where I want to adjust the moon from? Well, I can take this coordinate. Let's take save. Actually, no, it's an action. Over here on the bottom right, there's an action button. I click on that, and I go over to copy location, and that copied coordinates for me. So I'm going back out, going to the moon pill, and then up here in the settings where it's automatically updating to where I am locally, I am going to paste right here my coordinates. Brookings, Oregon. Sweet. Boom. Now it's giving me the moon based on this area. So, Lubeck, Maine, dark skies and good views of the core. Better late than never, says Shane. Hey, Shane, you barely made it, missing much, so you're all right. Welcome to join us, man. Welcome. So here in this moon pill, I get information all on this side about the moon and the Milky Way. I can see at the bottom right here that the Galactic Core is showing up at 8:55 to 9:53 based on tonight. The full moon is tonight at 10:46 a.m. It's already happened today, and so the full moon is today. That's cool. I didn't realize that. Today's the full moon, and right here at 7:54, the moon was rising for the just after the full moon. It's basically a waning gibbous. You can see this full moon right here. If I change one day, a little bit, a sliver, a tiny sliver of blue showed up there. Can you see that? Full moon, sliver. The waning gibbous is beginning. as of tonight at midnight. You know, this is going to be a waning gibbous already, really. So the 24th is a full moon. Moon rises at 7:54 as soon as the sun's setting, and it sets until 8:28. So we're talking, okay, the moon is just in the way. So you're watching this moon graphic move across the graph right here, this vertical timeline. I'm watching it for when does this moonrise go below my Milky Way core being visible? Because as soon as it goes below it, I have some time, but what kind of time? 8:53 p.m. to 9:05 p.m. Oy, 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 oy. That is crazy. Crazy short. Do I really want to go out and plan for 7 plus 5, 13, 12 minutes of time? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And Dave Amaki has joined. Hey, how's everybody? Doing well? Yes, it's Oregon. Brookings, Oregon will be on the coast. And I hope you can meet up with us, Josh. You've been gone so much lately, it's probably too hard to leave another photo trip. I understand that. That's too bad. You had a fun time out of Moab, so I get it. But man, if only you could join us. We're doing mostly landscape photography, but we're going to try Milky Way every night we can with our minuscule time, our tiny frame. So let's see, Friday, October 26th, I get the moon rise after 8:53, so I have some visibility core time. Sun sets at 7:19. So what happens here? When it's telling me this, it's actually telling me when astro twilight ends, because the core and the Galactic Core is already up in the sky throughout the day. If you noticed in our Stellarium view, you could see the Milky Way up there the whole time. It's just then it finally got dark enough to show it to you. So this 8:53 p.m. is just telling me that is astro twilight end. And at astro twilight end, it's dark enough. It's full darkness. And so I really can, for 12 minutes, enjoy a Milky Way. So my first real nights this Friday, I can go out with more time as of Saturday. In fact, the entire time I could go with the core above the horizon. I showed you in Stellarium that listing Milky Way, that tilted one, because I wanted you to know that even when the core, say the core is this blue part of the pencil, even when that's below the horizon, that's a really cool Milky Way. Not to mention the rest of the Milky Way is still pretty fantastic and looks awesome. So that being said, that's setting, it doesn't mean go home, be done, forget it, nothing else is worth your time. You're going to have a Milky Way at this angle in the Northern Hemisphere that you can work with. We haven't even accounted for the Southern Hemisphere like Sergio down in Australia, so maybe we should talk about that. I missed a chance with Stellarium up. Sorry about that, Sergio. But they have a horizontal Milky Way that's setting like this. And so they're going to see the whole core and have a panorama option even, and they're going to have a few hours with it, unlike our minutes. But then the way that it goes, the Earth's rotation and everything, they don't see it in December either. They don't see the Milky Way core, at least. And I can probably bring up Stellarium later while we're answering some questions. Like that Brookings area. Hey, thanks, Rob Bryan, for sharing that link. Awesome work, man. Yes, that's the sign up for our listener adventure. You're going to give me your phone number. You're going to give me your name so I can update you. I already told you guys I'm sending you an email, and I haven't yet, but I'm going to do it. I promise, tonight. Ah, man, I gotta not forget again. Tonight, I'm sending you an email. Gotta get you guys ready. So when you're looking at this Milky Way setting right here at 9:41, you have until 9:49 to really before you gotta give up. You'll have some view. It's not like it has to end at 9:41. Then every night just gets better. And it goes all the way through end of October into November. So let's look at it from my Brookings area. When does it stop being possible? Because, yeah, I'm going to have a possibility of looking at the Milky Way core throughout my trip, or at least on November 5th. But when during my trip does it get bad? No moon, no moon. Moon sets earlier. It's setting later now, 6:03. It's getting close. At 6:03, it's getting close to my 7:41. So Tuesday, November 6th. Wednesday, November 7th, and Thursday, November 8th even. Yes, nice, because that's 7:11 versus 7:39, so I still have Thursday night, and Friday night is when the moon sets after. So if I were to go out on Friday night in the same location and pretty much anywhere on the coast of Oregon, that moon is going to set at the moment the Galactic Core sets. So I still have that listing dipped down core Milky Way that I can capture without the moon in my way. And the neat thing about this moon on Friday and the moon on Thursday is that full darkness almost is there, and that moon is going to light my landscape. I could get a really neat Thor's Well moonlit landscape it sets on the horizon, and then it gets dark enough to see the Milky Way by 7:39, and I haven't moved my tripod, and hopefully a wave hasn't moved it for me, and I have what could be, ooh, my favorite shot of the year. Might even beat the salt flats reflection. I love the idea of that. So now I'm already taking note. Okay, I'm planning for Thursday on November 8th. Let's be in Thor's Well if we can, guys, the listener adventure, because that would be cool to use the moon to our advantage. The other nights, the moon's up much late. It sets much earlier, and it's pretty much in the twilight period, so I'm not really going to use the moon as much as I'll have a blue hour shot. A blue hour shot is fantastic too for my landscape. So what would be the best thing? I'm thinking Thursday night for a moonlit landscape versus a blue hour landscape, which we'll be doing a lot of while we're out there. So using PhotoPills, we were able to plan some information. Let's just write it down. Friday. So I'm going to go back to my PhotoPills. Not PhotoPills. Go back to my paper here and write up some notes. All right, let's use this pen. In fact, I prefer using a cool color and then writing on it. So let's use this blue, light blue, and use a dark color on it. So for Oregon, I know I have a coastal Milky Way, and my coastal Milky Way is going to have no obstruction other than clouds. Obviously, clouds can come every night, and they might be there every night. So other than clouds, I don't have any structures lifting up into the sky, no mountain ranges, nothing that's going to block my wide open horizon. So that Milky Way, I'll see it here, here, and dip. I'll see all of that action go down. So then on top of that, starting on Friday, October, what was it, 26th? Let's just say that's what it was. 26th, I can start having a Milky Way opportunity all the way through Friday. That is not how you spell an I or write an I. Friday, November, was that end up being a 6th as well? It would be November 9th. November 9th. So then my times, I don't know why I put a period, but my opportunity starts really soon. This is my window. And guys, this is your last window. Final 28 window. 2018 window. So what if I want to go out here locally? What if I want to make this work? How could I possibly know where's the core? Where's the subjects that are going to be the objects of my obstruction going to be in my way? How do I figure that out? How could I use maybe PhotoPills to find out what's in my path? Now, I was at the trestle. Rob noticed that. Let's see if I have any questions before I move on to this new part of the subject. Way too cloudy for Pacific Northwest in May. Yeah, unfortunately, May is tough. May is tough for that time, which is why I love November. It can be really great for storms, but also you don't have a marine layer as bad. May has been a favorite month of mine for Milky Way stuff. Yeah, awesome. Or a cloudy gray hour landscape, or a cloudy gray hour landscape. Yeah, that could be what I end up experiencing. Are you in a dark sky area? Me personally, I'm very close. If you're talking about me, I'm just gonna try and make up a phonetic way of saying your random letters. So then looks like nothing major has come through as a question. So let's just keep going with what we have here. So now I'm gonna load one of my points of interest. And that was what Rob was noticing was a trestle here, close. In fact, you can even see on here, if I put my local pin, that's where I am. And where is, not longitude and latitude, where's my point of interest? It's down at the trestle, kabam. It's really only moving from here to here. That's a 45-minute, 50-minute drive for me. So down here at the trestle, what kind of objects are going to be on my way? We said our first good night was going to be on the 26th. What's one of my shortcuts to go back a month? If you see on the right side or the top bar, this graphic right here, that is this galactic center graphic, this right here has a picture of the Milky Way. Tap it once and it goes to the next month's new moon. Tap it again, it goes to the next month's new moon. If you double tap it, it goes to the previous month that it's set for. So right now it went to October 8th. You know, October 8th is closer to my time right now. Let's just scrub, or that's a terrible way. Why don't I just tap on the clock, change it to October 26th. Boom, boom, done. Now it's October 26th, my first opportunity. Why? Because I think it was this moon line. See that bluish? Let's see, here it comes. That blue line's going across the landscape. It is, I can't leave it there if I'm going to point to it. It is this blue line right here showing the movement of the Milky Way, movement of the moon across the night sky and morning. Okay, so 26 isn't a great time. What was my first day? Let's find out. Let's go a few days in the future. Moon is going to set. Moon is going to set. Moon's going to get out of my way eventually. I know it. October. Looks like the moon's setting all the way in the daytime. Oh, you know what I'm not accounting for is the fact that the moon hasn't risen yet. Is that what's happening? Let's go back to the moon pill. I got lost on my opportunity. So now in the moon pill, go to the position. Let's set it for auto update. Let's just use this local area. It's close enough. All right, good. And the moon. Let's see the graphics again. Here's the moon rise, and here's the actual galactic core. So when does the moon rise happen? After my galactic core. It happens during. I have 15 minutes for the first time on Friday, October 26th. Seems like that wasn't jiving with what I was seeing in the planner, so we'll have to check that again. But let's pretend like I don't want to go that night. Go to when the moon rises completely after at 9:02. All right, back to the planner. Let's go to October 27th, I think that's what it was. So the night of the 7th. Here's the golden hour begins, sunset, blue hour. I'm reading it from these texts down at the bottom left. Yeah, and you guys can see that. Good, I was afraid my picture was blocking it. Nautical twilight ends, astro twilight ends. Now the moon is supposed to rise in an hour. Is that true? Okay, see? This lighter blue line is showing the moon rise. Okay, good. That's not happening until the core has long set. Awesome. You see that extra black line that's showing up? That's just showing me the shadow that the moon is going to cast on stuff in my area based on its height in the sky. So that's why that black line is showing up right here. The one that keeps growing larger and smaller. And I can turn that off with this button right here if I don't want to have it in my way. So say the moon has risen. Go to the shadow part of it. Okay, here it is. Shadow is showing shadow. I tap this button right here. And now it's off. It won't be something that pops up and distracts me. So then I have until actual 8:03 until the sets at 9. Oh, the moon rises at 9:04. So I have an hour of time to work with. So let's look at this. This is the area that I'll be. I zoom into the trestle so you guys can see what that trestle looks like. That trestle is an abandoned railroad. It only has track from here till somewhere over here to the road ends, like asphalt goes over it. So this is not an active train track. I would never recommend you go to an active train track. But standing here, I can get the train track in front of me, light paint it, and have a vertical Milky Way over the end of it. Sometimes you can even stand up here and get an interesting leading line into it. And so this is an option that I like right here. Look in this direction. And so I can see where the Milky Way is going to be in the sliver. So that's working out pretty well. But what are my obstacles? What kind of issues am I going to be faced with? If you know your area and you know the hills that you should check, then just go immediately and go to them and mark them up with the pin to pin geodetic info. This guy. This button is not active. Let me hit the graphic. This square. It turned it on. It brought me a black pin. Here's the red pin of where I'm standing, and here's a black pin. So looking at the satellite, I can tell that these are some high hills right here. And then going back, I can scrub through this timeline. I'm going to hold my finger down, and that extended the timeline to a larger window, so it takes a lot more effort to scrub through too many minutes. Well, you can see what's happening here. Do you see that dotted line? What is that telling me? That's telling me some information. What's my horizon like? And so adjust for height above horizon. Done. Let's just, why aren't you showing me? Is it just in darkness? So my horizon is not using my geodetic pin for some reason. I don't know the reason why right now. Okay, adjust for height above horizon. Great. Well, it's telling me the difference between the pins, but this guy is set up in a whole different location than loading it from the area that I had it at. So using the trestle, I went to a high hill that I was gauging from shapes in the GPS. and it kind of gives me a difference in meters. This right here, I'm not going to use it because what I was hoping it would do is draw this graphic for you guys. So let's just draw it up myself. I like to draw this graphic up. I'll use it again. So right here, it has a graphic. It's just not very cool. It's just not. And so here is my train trestle. Let's go bigger than that. Come on, let's go big. I'm going to draw fat subjects. Trestle, abandoned track, looking kind of like this. The hill comes up, the thing leads across, and then over here will be my Milky Way. That Milky Way right there is... Sup, Aaron? Thank you for your continued efforts. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. I was checking to see if there are any questions coming up, and I appreciate the love. Thanks, Ryan. So this is the core as it's dipping, and so I'm standing in this area, but way off in the distance, let's get a more brown color. Where are you, brown? I have a horizon. So this really isn't on top of this right there. So let's just kill it all the way back to the Milky Way. Let's draw the horizon. So what am I dealing with? This Milky Way, is it going to dip below? I'll do it in the green color, or let's just use this green. Is it dip below, or is it going to be above that? So the pin-to-pin geodetic info, let's do it side by side. You have a pin, which is your red pin. This is where you are. You're given a black pin that you're going to place somewhere. Let's draw the horizon that you're on and say you have a hill that goes like this. And you have a subject that's back here, and you want to know, is the subject up here above this hill, or is the subject down here below and blocked by this hill? Well, I put this pin right here on the highest point of the hill. It draws this dotted line between me and says, okay, your view between here and here, if it's visible, this line will be solid. If it's not, and this thing is way down here, your line will be dotted. So let's go back to PhotoPills. You can see the dotted line that I'm getting. Imagine if I move this pin right here to something low. Will this Milky Way be higher than that? It says yes. Oh, nope. When I get that close, it starts being blocked too. The terrain up there, you can see right here, it has a difference of 86 meters from where I am in this little trestle area to there. Has an 86 meter incline, and even that will block my subject. How does PhotoPills know my subject and know the height of my subject? This right here, this gray line, it's telling me information for it. If I was holding it next to the moon and the sun was up, this white line would go my location line. My location line of where I am on the timeline would show a dotted line or a straight line. Since it's on this this gray slice, it's talking about the Milky Way core. And what information does the core have? Over here on the right, you're going to see not the visibility to Galactic Core one, but the galactic center. It's giving us an elevation degree, 3.7 degrees. And this pin is on a high point right here and says that it's currently at 6.3 degrees. So even if I didn't see the dotted line, I could put that pin down and go, oh, crud. That at this time is 6.3 degrees between me and here. It is what do they call it? They call it a visual altitude, like your apparent altitude difference of altitude. So that line that I've been drawing between these two pins is saying, here's your apparent angle of vision. I got the wrong term. I can't think of it right now. But basically, my vision right here can only see what's above this, and everything below it would be something blocked. If it's the sun, if it's let's do the moon with a gray line, and if it's the Milky Way with green circles, if those things, or I would say I shouldn't even do multiple circles for Milky Way because all it has is 1 point. It has 1 point that it's declared. Right here, this elevation, 3.7 degrees, is the galactic center. What's the actual galactic center? They've chosen a star closest to the black hole in the center of the galaxy, Sagittarius A, as the galactic center point. And that, whether that star is above the horizon or not, or where that star is in the sky, it gives us a degree. So that degree is saying 6, okay, that degree is 3 something. You know, now I need to do a smaller thing. It is 3, but this height is 6. And so anything that is, anytime this thing is between 3 degrees and 6, or I say 0 and 6, it's going to draw a dotted line. And anytime it gets above that, it's a solid line. I think I've really beat that horse to death. You guys understand that when you use the pin-to-pin geodetic info, you can find out whether you're going to be in a lower area and the horizon around you, or certain objects that are obviously tall that you put the pin on. They can tell you, okay, this is this height and this is what you're wanting to be. And you can see how throughout the whole night, it's not any higher than, ooh, look, 6.3. So if you could see it right here at the beginning of its time, but then it's going to get to the point where it hits 6.3 and below. So you have a moment of full darkness and a core that's above, or at least that star. Let me draw you another diagram. So I want to emphasize, when you're out there, this isn't a promise that you're going to see everything. Let's do this graphic. So night sky, the graphic. Let's do it with the full circles that draw for me. Here's the core. Well, it's designated this star right here as the core. So as this thing tilts down below the horizon and it gets, say, it says it's visible, 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 and then finally below here it's not visible, what you're seeing is actually a circle that is now cut in half, a circle that is, well, I would say just cut in half because it's towards the center of that circle. So here it is above the horizon, but look how much of your core is actually on the horizon. So some of the information that you have right here in PhotoPills is telling you that the core is above the horizon, but it's not promising that an entire core is above the horizon. The entire cool shape that you call the core, it's not saying that it's above the horizon. It's saying that Sagittarius inside here is still above the horizon. And as that thing goes down until this dot actually goes on this side of the horizon, it's still above the horizon. And so even that 6.3 height right there is misleading, because what you're probably going to find out is that it's this egg of core resting on the hill, and most of it down here is blocked by some structure, not structure, it's not man-made structure, it's only topographical and geology. Anything that is landmass, hill, mountain, anything that a topographical map would show will show up on here. And so when that thing is there, it's going to be covering a lot of your Milky Way core. So what you have to do now is plan your area based on what flat terrain you can find. I'm really lucky and I can go somewhere close called the Bonneville Salt Flats. And it's in the name. It's going to be great because it's the salt flats. I don't even think I have it saved as a pin because it's easy to get to. I go to the Bonneville Salt Flats. I put my pin down. I just hold my finger until it gets there. Then I grab my pin-to-pin geodetic info. I had to undo it and bring it back up to bring that pin over to me. And anywhere I put it, look at the readout. Difference 0.0, 0.0, 0.0. Well, along my Milky Way core, 0.0. Okay, what about way over here? That is a 12-meter difference, but that's not going to affect my Milky Way. Look at that. There's no dotted line the entire time. That's awesome. Then if I go onto this hill, though, am I going to have something high enough? Not yet. What about all the way out here at Go Shoot Peak? Let's try that. Wait, I got to grab it. That's right. I got to drag the black pin. You can't just hold your finger down for that. Okay, that's 1.8 degrees. So eventually, that Sagittarius A star will dip below the height of this peak of this mountain range. And peaks are nice because you know that they're the tallest point. So if you put the pin near the peak, you know that the rest of the hill, whatever shape it is most likely going to be out of most of the Milky Way core's way. If you have something that only gives you maybe 5 minutes of view before it sets, don't use that spot. I mean, you can change where you are quickly with the just mere benefit of parallaxing. I go 20 yards this way, that distant hill is now over here, and I moved it miles out of my way by just going a few meters my direction. And so you got to handle that and work with it. So cool. Great presentation. Got to sleep for a few hours. Hey, Jurgen, have a good night, man. I hope I caught you before you left. Thanks for saying goodbye for me, Mary Beth. So line of sight, Josh Bird says. Let's see. Rob is answering some good questions and putting up some answers. All good, Aaron. This is a great podcast for me as I have not totally understood how to use all the functions on PhotoPills. This is great. You bet. Love PhotoPills. So much in here. And just seeing the horizon and how I wasn't liking this new feature of adjust for height above horizon. I got to talk to Raphael and look up his videos and see, okay, what is this telling me? Because as I like to claim to be an expert in PhotoPills, this already is confusing to me as to what that's happening. What would be awesome? I love it, Raphael, if he would just draw up for me based on where your pin is and where your pin went. If it just gave you a topographical side cutting, you know, it cut the thing in half and showed you, okay, here's your shape that you're dealing with. There's the shape from where you are and everything that's going to happen between you and that pin. That would be brilliant, but that's probably just a feature that's on its way. So we've covered what days are going to be good when the moon, I mean, basically based on when the moon's out of the way. And then where should you go? Make sure you go to a flat, cool, flat area. If you got the ocean and you're on the West Coast, brilliant. Wow, that's going to be so much easier to work with, like the salt flats or an ocean, than anything else. And then if you have things that are in your way that are not man-made, you can find out how high the Milky Way core is going to be through the night. And even if it is man-made, you can get an idea to find out, okay, every fist is 10 degrees, and so you can go out there and see, you know what, that's actually going to block. That's going to block what I want. Now, it's going to block Sagittarius A, but it might not block the whole Milky Way core. And so the whole thing that you call the core is going to be visible as this giant mass around Sagittarius A. So, love PhotoPills. Allowed me to first shoot the Milky Way over Crater Lake on my first try. Yeah, Crater Lake. Love it. For track and stackers like me, Milky Way imaging ended last month. You know, Ryan, that's true. Even if you set up and you got your alignment to Polaris well, you do a couple shots and then you'd be done. I mean, it's just you're going to do a minute at least exposure. So yeah, this month, November, the end of October, really would be a lot of work for very little time. So awesome. Any other questions that are coming up? Let me bring up Stellarium and teach you guys the Southern Hemisphere while we're at it, because we have some time and I want you guys to ask any questions that'll be helpful to you. And so let's pull it up. And, you know, while we pull this up, I'm going to move your guys' comments over here so I can see it, turn on the Mac screen, and get Stellarium back up and running. And the question we had earlier about does Stellarium work well on a Mac? Works fantastic. And here it is loading up again, doing fantastic. So let's see if I'm missing any questions. Looks like Rob's answering some good stuff. Thanks, Rob, for all your work on that. So Stellarium, you can choose your location with the location window. And let's just go somewhere random in Australia. So this is, I'm losing my voice. This is Australia's Southern Hemisphere view of the South. Well, that's what that location's time right now on the brightness and where the sun is. It's about midday. So let's go ahead and fast forward to night. Man, that sun is really high up, isn't it? It's almost their summer. They're in spring right now. I was talking to Sergio earlier, and spring is happening, and the sun is setting. Okay. Whoa. So here's where the Milky Way core already is, completely to the west. The sun has set, and as it sets, it reveals the Milky Way. So let's go forward in time just a little bit at pace. In fact, I'm going to keep it paused. Let's do the date and time window so I can go by the hour. Let's go 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Oh, the moon's up. That's why. The moon is up tonight, and so they're not going to be able to do anything there. Let's jump forward in time to when we say the 29th is a good time. Moon hasn't risen. You got full darkness. Let's go back a couple hours. Okay, still no moon. Oh, yeah. Look at that core. I've never personally seen the Southern Hemisphere sky, and I've never seen the Milky Way in that angle, nor have I ever seen this much of the Milky Way on this side. That is incredible. All this side of the Milky Way, I don't know it. I have no familiarity with it. I can't wait to see it someday. So then this is what you'll be dealing with, Sergio. you have a Western Milky Way, and the core will start to become visible as soon as astral twilight begins, roughly around 8 o'clock. And you have, I think, 1 hour, technically 2. I'd say a few hours on the November time frame, but realistically, you're most likely only going to have 2 hours. Even on our really great nights, I think you're only going to have 2 hours. So let's hit play. So it goes to the times a little bit slower. So now it's transitioning. Yeah, you have from like 750 until that Sagittarius A sets, but on that horizon, that low, that can be really, really tight. That can be really tight. So that Milky Way core is going to set almost like it's a hat, and the hat is going down below the horizon. So this is an amazing view, much better, I'd say, than our view, but not as many as a few hours, just at least 2 great hours, which way better than 18 minutes. You Southern Hemisphere people are so dang lucky. And not to mention that once that Milky Way goes down, you still have the large and small Magellanic Cloud to look at. Oh, man. That's crazy. I'm so jealous. So jealous. Let's turn off atmosphere so you can see them even better. Look at those. I mean, you're not seeing them great, but the Magellanic Clouds I've never seen. Can't wait to see them someday. Let's see if any questions have come through. If not, we can call it good. We can actually end it before an hour. If you guys don't have any questions, let me just go through a summary of what you need to do. If there ever is a checklist of things that you should do to make sure that you have your stuff ready to go, it will be this. 1. Know a night when the moon, okay, this is a long sentence. No moon. Let's just have any amount of minutes with no moon. Checklist 1. 2, make sure that where you're going to be is flat as possible. And double check that. You can double check that by using PhotoPills and use pin-to-pin geodetic info. If you want to learn more about pin-to-pin geodetic info, I say what I said just barely in a video on our YouTube channel. Let me just go there real quick so you guys can see it. It's under our Astrophotog playlist, and you can see a lesson there specifically all about this. The Find tool, and you know what, I guess? I think it's a part of a webinar. I don't have it by itself. So if you're going to go and learn it, it's going to be this webinar right here. Oh, I went right over the, that's a terrible thumbnail if I look right over it that easy. Because here it is, the pin-to-pin geodetic info. I explained it. Here is 11 minutes explanation of it. And I think it's on mute. Let's keep it on mute. Hey, Aaron. Blah, 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 blah. And I go through all those drawings that I did for you guys today with maybe even a little bit more explanation about how you handle it, yada, yada, yada. One of the most underrated channels on YouTube, Jack Chow, I love you. Thank you. I wish more people agree with you. That's awesome. So other than patting myself on the back, let me go back to what I was showing you guys over here. You know, I've been writing those texts all with your guys' comments on the screen. I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget that I'm actually not showing you what I want to show you. Here's the list. No moon, number 1. 2, flat as possible. Use pin-to-pin geodetic info to make sure that it is, and know what your obstacles you're dealing with and whether you want to move over here or move over here, because that can change so fast on what you need. Then number 3, you're going to figure out what you're going to, let's see, really, we were just talking about when the moon's up, find a location as planned as possible. That's really all you need to know, which nights are going to work and where you're going to go. After that, it's all just Milky Way stuff. And just take advantage of those minutes. Be ready. You know, I should even say, use the moon and blue hour for lighting. Light your foreground with this opportunity, because what you have is a horizon where the moon is going down and then the Milky Way is showing up behind it. So the light source of the moon is the same direction as the light implication coming from the Milky Way core. And so any of your subjects, say you're looking this way. You have a horizon, the moon is over here, you have a really cool Thor's well, and underneath you in Thor's well is this hole, and all this light is hitting the rocks right here, hitting rocks right here. You have a shadow side right there. And then that moon sets and you have the Milky Way, well, it doesn't look like that. It's not that high. But that light is implied being Milky Way light all shining on your subject, and it can be pretty dang cool. Pretty dang cool. So make sure you use moon and blue hour for your lighting of your terrain. Pretty awesome time to do so. So what other questions could there possibly be? You guys hit me up if you have anything. Let's see. Answers coming from Rob Ryan. Love PhotoPills. Allowed me to shoot the Milky Way. I already saw that. Sometimes I feel like the chat changes. It says top chat. All messages. Why would that not be on live chat? That's why. That jumped out of the way. Of course, now it doesn't seem like I'm actually seeing the most recent message. Aaron and Rob, awesome podcast. Thanks so much for what you do. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for saying that. Sergio, thank you so much. I don't think anyone has any major question. This has been great. I've only used the basic functions of PhotoPills before, so Mary Beth likes that too. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me in this hour. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to go and tell your friends about this video, share it, or anything you can to help this live video get out there. I'm going to do a reproduction of it, a shorter version of it, nice and tight for YouTube to consume. But the live feeds, the Milky Way Wednesdays, let people know about it. Thanks for joining me. Love you guys. I'm going to hang up right now. Talk to you guys later. Send me questions if you have any at aaron@photoadventures.com. So see you guys.